Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today I have the Ruffled Wild Orchid digital image from Power Poppy. Of course it will be linked in the description box below. I've printed it out on my laser printer and cut it down to 4 by 5 1/4, pardon me. I'm just starting in here, laying in the background, and I'm just using some quinacridone gold and blending that out just to give it a little bit of shading before I start adding color to our flowers and our greenery. I will come back at the end and add some more color in here. You may hear birds and people and traffic and stuff outside. It's like 8:30, but it's beautiful out and I have the windows open because it's starting to cool off and I like to bring the fresh air in the house and I enjoy all that kind of stuff in the evening, so all of the windows are open. I am using my Daniel Smith watercolors here, and this is a new brush to me. It's a sable brush. It's from Winsor & Newton. I got around 8 and around 10 for Mother's Day. Kevin bought them, but they were from Caleb, and I absolutely love these brushes. Kevin, once I started playing with it, and I looked at him, and I'm like, these are really nice. I really like these. He goes, I'm going to be really broke. I'm like, well, you know, I just want a couple more sizes. Like, I just want a couple more. But he's so funny. So we're just finishing that up and then we'll start laying in some color on the rest. It's been a while since I've done a flower video. Last month probably. I do one a month for Power Poppy for their Inspiration Monday post. I will, if I remember, put a link to them in the background. I forgot to record putting in the first layer of color on the green. It's just like a tealy color and I just put a light wash of it. Most of it gets covered up. You could use any sort of tealy color, any green of any kind on the background there on the leaves. And now we're just coming through and I'm adding in some phthalo blue onto the petals of the flowers to start the shading on those. So we're just dropping it in and then I'll take some clean water and blend everything out. I'm just kind of following Marcella's artist drawn lines there where she has folds in the petals and things of that nature illustrated in for me, which makes it really, really easy to create the shading and get the feel of the flowiness to the flowers and all of that fun stuff. I really enjoy them. I did 90% of this image with this round number 8 brush, and I am, like I said a few moments ago, super happy with this brush. I think it's absolutely marvelous. The lighting might change as we go through this. I did take a break. I took Caleb to the park and we played some ball. I mowed the lawn. I went to Mom and Dad's and had a meal, and it kind of took me all day to do this. I did laundry and I did dishes and I baked some bread, and so it was a very slow process. I like to let my watercolors dry naturally. I find that if I hit them with a heat gun, it dries them too fast. When you let your watercolors dry naturally, as long as that paper feels cool to the touch, it's actually still damp. And as long as it's still damp, those pigments are still moving. So I kind of like to let them do their own thing. It's one of the things I find most beautiful and most intriguing about watercolor is you can only control it to a certain point, because once it's in that paper and you're letting that paper dry, it's still moving and it's still doing its thing, and you can't be quite as particular with your watercolors as I am with things like my colored pencils or my Copic markers and stuff of that nature, where I can be very, very precise and very specific as to where I lay in those colors and where they're going to go and how they're going to move and blend and all of that. I have a lot more control, is the word I'm looking for. I have a lot more control with the other mediums than I do with watercolor. And I think I really like that it lets me, or it forces me to kind of let it be free and let it do its thing, as opposed to me deciding where it's going to go and being too particular. I also try to hold the brush. You'll see my placement on how I hold the brush kind of moves, but I tend to try and remind myself to hold the brush over top of the ferrule, which is like the metal part, just to force myself to be a little more loose with the paint. Now I am going over top of all of the greenery there, and I just added a light wash of New Gamboge to it. And then we're kind of come back in and add our second layer of blue. There's a lot of layering in this. I tend to work in layers in watercolor as opposed to being dark, going in with real heavy pigment and blending it out and letting it fade out. I like to work in multiple layers, progressively getting darker. Again, that's that whole control thing. It gives me a little more control than the rest of it, or than doing it in the other way. Like if I was laying the heaviest color and blend it out would. So it's kind of finding that balance in whatever works for you. I mean, It's fun. We're making cards. You're supposed to enjoy this. I find this very, very relaxing. I can sit and paint for hours and hours on end and not get bored and not feel like I'm being pressured and things of that nature. But when it's for a video and I'm not filming it till Sunday night and it goes live on Monday, or till Sunday and it goes live on Monday, I do know that I have, like, you know, the one day to finish it. I can't, like, stretch this out for 3 or 4 days or anything of that nature. So we got it done. We got it done. I have mixed my phthalo blue and my Indian Throne blue together here. Just a little bit of it, just to deepen it up a bit. So again, these are layers. I just have a rag beside me. It's just like a terry towel cloth. I think it's called a bar rag or something. I don't know. I buy them at Canadian Tire. I use them in my kitchen and all over the house. But I have 2 that I use for watercolor. And I use them until they get to a certain dirty point. And then I just throw them through the wash with rags and towels and stuff like that. And then use them again because they do end up stained. But they work for a very, very long time as opposed to paper towel, which I'm throwing away all the time. And I always feel bad about the amount of paper towel I can go through when doing a piece like this. Whereas the rag, I just lay it out and let it dry afterwards. And it's hunky-dory. So what's new? Caleb's ball got rained out twice. So he was a little ticked off last week because he didn't get to play ball. So that's why we went to the park and played catch and did some batting practice and stuff like that for a couple hours this afternoon. He really loves that sport. So I enjoy going with him and helping him with that. I played a lot of ball when I was younger, so it's something that I liked, and I'm really happy he likes it as well. Other than that, I'm pretty boring lately. I've been working outside. We've been redoing some cabins out at a lake and all of that fun stuff, and just lots of work, mowing the lawn. Last weekend I was up at the boyfriend's farm and got the garden put in. If you follow me on Instagram, I had pictures of the garden and Caleb driving the tractor and things like that when we were up there. That was I don't know, I think it took us 4 or 5 hours to get the garden put in. And then I'm going up on this coming weekend to put all of the tomatoes and things in the ground. So hopefully it'll dry out enough that we can get into the garden and get the tomatoes put in, because I need tomatoes and I want a can and I want to do all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that will happen very, very soon. Isn't this a beautiful image? When I watercolor card fronts like this, I actually really enjoy sitting back and watching it. I always have to remind myself in my head to keep talking. Like, Jesse, you need to keep talking, because I just kind of start staring and I'm like, that looks really cool. And I really love doing that. And then I want to quit talking and just kind of watch. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're doing a voiceover and you need to continue to chatter away here and tell people, I don't know, at least some sort of valuable information or something of that nature. Entertain them somehow, Jesse. Entertain the peoples. Oh yes, I was going to tell you all, if you do really enjoy my videos and you like to get them all the time, YouTube has gone a little crazy again, because that's what they do, just as everybody gets adapted to the last change. If you are subscribed to my channel, that's wonderful. I truly appreciate it. I love every single one of you. But if you do want to see all of my videos when I release them, my watercolor, my colored pencils, my Copics, my entire scenes that I do, I have one of those coming up later this week, and stuff like that, there is a little bell icon beside the subscribe button in the bottom of the video there, like underneath the video screen. If you hit that bell, it's supposed to let you know every time I upload a video. If you don't have the bell hit, you may never see my videos again, because they've kind of taken away and gone away from the whole option of seeing what everybody you're subscribed to in your subscription feed, and they only kind of put in certain ones. So if you want to see my videos and things, definitely hit that little bell so you can see those. And I appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch my videos, whether you like them, whether you're here just to give me a thumbs down, like, thank you. Thumbs down helps too. It all does the same thing. Appreciate it. A thumbs up is even more loved, because then at least I know you liked it a little bit. Those of you that leave comments, I read them all. I don't always have time to reply. I have a boyfriend, but we don't live together or anything, so I'm virtually a single mom, and my son does sports, and I work 45 hours a week, and I volunteer, and I'm a very, very busy person by nature, but I do make sure to read them all, even if I can't always reply to everything. So please continue to leave me comments because I really like reading them afterwards. I did get a funny one the other day. Somebody asked if I was rich because of all the watercolor paints I have, and I kind of giggled to myself. I'm like, no, but I kind of wish I was. That could be nice. Like, it would be nice if I didn't have to stress out about working and paying all my bills and everything all by myself. But no, I just got lucky and bought a watercolor lot of like, I don't know what it was, $1,200 or $1,500 worth of paints for $300. So no, I'm not rich. I just got very, very lucky. Anyway, I thought it was hilarious to read that. I was like, nope, not quite. But that's all right. I was blessed and I got lucky, so, and I will love those paints and I will use all of them eventually. Eventually. So we're putting another coat on the red there and then adding a little bit more blue in. Now I've cleaned the palette and I've pulled out, this is Carbazole Violet. It's Daniel Smith version of Dioxazine Violet. It's the same color. And I've added just a tiny little drop of phthalo blue to it. If you add too much of the phthalo blue to the dioxazine purple, it takes over that purple right away and it turns blue. Phthalo blue is a very, very strong pigment and it definitely overpowers that dark purple. But I love this color and I just add it in and I'm starting to blend it out. So it's going to take these flowers from being a very, very bright color into a more navy-esque indigo type color, which I really like. I liked the bright, but I really like adding in this dark and just kind of having the very good, or the very drastic variations between the lighter colors and the darker, more indigo version as I add in this Carbazole Violet. I love this color. It's one of my favorites. I am using my little, this is just a, I don't even know how many colors are in there, 14, something like that. It's a little palette. I did create it myself. If I remember, I can throw a link to that up in the cards. Hopefully I remember. I should, because I'm going to upload this right after I finish. But a link to where I created that palette. That's where that funny comment is. That's what made me think of it, is because that's the palette I'm using in this video. I created that palette a long time ago, saying that I was hoping to be able to take it with me in the summer and paint flowers and things of that nature, not have to haul around like my 48 half pan Schminke palette or a whole bunch of tubes or my Mead palette, or what kind of palette is that? It is Mission Gold, no, I don't know, it's one of those blue ones, but it's the smaller one. It holds 18, I think it has 18 walls in it or something like that. But I have like little dots of paint all over that palette. I bet you have 60 colors slammed into that palette with little dots everywhere. I don't even have like mixing space anywhere. I just kind of have to find a corner to mix stuff up. But so I didn't have to haul that or a bunch of tubes or anything like that around. I created this palette and I've been using it since I created it, and I'm really, really happy with my color selection that's in it. I do wish I had put like a sepia or a darker brown color into it. I did sneak in Moon Glow into the tiny little center palette, and I think I'm going to put some sepia on the other side when I take it with me this summer, just so I have that color handy and easy and I don't have to try and mix a brown, because I'm very fussy and I don't know, I haven't found a brown that I like to mix out of the colors that I have on this palette. I like mixing browns in a bunch of my other palettes. I just haven't found a combination in this one that makes me really happy. So you can see I switched brushes here. This is still a round number 8, but this is my Silver Black Velvet brush. It comes to a finer point. Now this brush is a synthetic and a squirrel blend, so it's got natural and synthetic hairs in it, but I do find they get floppy really fast. They last me about a year and a half, and then I have to replace them, so that's why I wanted to try those sable brushes, and I think I like them more. I'm just going to pick one up that's size or two smaller. I think I'm going to get a 6 and a 4, and that should give me a tiny enough point to be able to replace this black velvet with. This doesn't hold nearly the water or the pigment, like nearly the water or the load that the sable brushes do, so I think if I pick up a 6 or a 4 with the amount of color and or water that those brushes are capable of holding, it should easily replace this one and still come to a fine enough point that I'm after. So we're going to finish dropping in this gold. Then I do mix up a brown. After. Oh no, I add some more to the green too. But I do mix up a brown and add some more shading into the background. I did keep this video fairly slow. It is only 3 times the original speed of the video. I didn't want to speed it up too incredibly much so that I went really fast and you guys couldn't get a really good feel or look at what I'm doing. This is sap green. I can mix this. I have both the colors that make sap green on the palette itself. I have it in tube form and I use it so often that I had to put undersea green in there and it's still there. You can see it. It's like the tiny little, I don't know, blob there in between the dark one and the purple, or in the phthalo green, but I don't use that color. So I think I may pop the undersea green out and put sap green in there just as a convenience color because I do use it so often. But we'll see what happens in the future. I mean, I like to use them up and then see if I still really enjoy those colors or if I'm reaching for them and things of that nature. I have found that that's about the only one that I don't use on a regular basis is that undersea green, and I had actually just put it in there as a convenience color, and when I put it in I was debating between that and the sap green, and I really should have just gone with the sap green considering that's the one that I use all the time. So hindsight's 2020. I will make a point of starting to use it and mixing it into things like this when I do greenery and leaves and stems and stuff like that and get it used up, and then I'll probably put my sap green in there and get rid of the undersea green altogether. But that's kind of how it works when you make your own palette, is playing with them and deciding what you want to do. So now I've mixed up a little more brown here. It's still more on the yellow side, which is what I wanted because I wanted it to have kind of that yellowed feel to the paper, and we're just going to add that into the background. So as I said at the beginning, I did cut this panel down to 5 1/4 by 4, and then I taped it down on the paper afterwards, so I'm not going to trim it after. So when I pull the tape off, there's going to be a line where you see some of the artwork, like the Marcella's lines from the digital stamp going out, and there's no color on it, and it's a stark white of the watercolor paper around the outside, whereas all of this paper on the inside has been tinted slightly yellow just because of the brown tones and the quinacridone gold that I used and all of that. But that's the look I was after, so I really enjoyed making it. If you guys have any questions or comments, like I said, leave them down below. I really appreciate those. If you aren't subscribed to my channel and you'd like to see more watercolor videos or Copic videos, card making in general, definitely hit that subscribe button and that little bell icon so you actually see the videos that I'm uploading when they happen. And I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye for now.